Okay, so this is the biggest one for all of us, I think, because so many people go in, and have you done a retirement calculator online before? Have you ever gone and said, how much do I need to save, right, to retire? Most people check that out at some point or another. And it's always, well, what's that magic number, right? You remember this advertisement? Maybe this was an ING advertisement in the late 2000s where people were carrying around a number, right? And it was over their heads and jumping in pools, and it was on a raft, you know? Like, you got to nurture your retirement number is what they said. Brilliant marketing strategy, but it's just a number. I mean, that's all about how much you're saving, right? And there's so many more aspects to, you need to know, well, how much are you going to need to spend, right? How many years are you going to need to spend for? What are you going to need to spend on? What kind of lifestyle do you want to live in retirement? So that brings us to all of these different aspects, and this is kind of a view of all the different things that we take into consideration when we're starting with a financial plan with people. And it's not just the financial plan, right? That's one aspect where we're walking through all these decisions. And we just talked about Social Security, you got college planning, optimized withdrawal strategy for retirement. What does that look like for you? Updating this annually. What about health insurance analysis, long-term care risks? That's just one piece, and that's a huge piece, right? I'm going to show you, here's a glance at all the different checklist items that we have in our financial planning. And this is just the start of it. So I think there's like 63 items here, and Angela loves these checklists because we have over 68 checklists for everything. And the reason we do, I don't know if you've heard of the Checklist Manifesto, it doesn't show up great there, but it was a book by a doctor, and his philosophy, he tested this idea that if they use checklists in operating rooms, what effect would it have? And it's crazy that it cut the amount of deaths by 47%. I think it was over a year or two time, just by using a checklist, right? Because you're in the moment of surgery and very advanced procedures that they do, but you got to think about how the steps you might be missing. Now, for them, that's life or death. For us, not life or death, but still, it could be a major impact on your retirement, right? So we want to make sure that we're taking into consideration all the opportunities and risks that are out there for you, and that's why we use checklists. And that's just an example of this, but you got to be aware of all these other ideas. So the investment piece is just one portion of it. I'm going to get into that in a second. But you got estate review. How does that look? You know, have you thought about what's going to happen afterwards and how that will be and how your assets might pass? Is that important to you? Some people, it's not important at all. What does cash flow look like? Do you track your spending now? That gives you insight into what it's going to look like in retirement. A lot of people don't track it now. They just kind of go about it, and if there's money in the bank account and you're not running up credit card debt, then you're good. But you want to know what that looks like when you're actually having to spin out your savings to support that, right? Tax planning, we're going to move into that in a second as well, and then just tax return reviews. And then, of course, you have all these life transitions, and that's a lot of times when we see people. And often, people will come in and at those moments in time, and a lot of times at the retirement piece, and they'll say, man, I wish I would have done this a lot earlier, you know, and actually thought through this, and maybe I'd be in a different position than I am now. But that's the nature of life. We get busy, and I understand it.
I see marriage/divorce, but I don't see paying for marriage. I got 3 girls, so.
Oh, I got 2, so yeah.
I'm already like seeing.
Absolutely.
I was looking for that on the checklist.
We have a pre-retirement checklist we put together, actually, that you can have, and you could email me, and I'll send it to you if you want. Or you just go on our website and find it, but it's faster probably for me to email it to you. And that just goes through these questions of, like, how many of these have you done, have you thought about, or do they apply to you, right? So financial symmetry is where we are.